Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all keeping safe and well, and thank you very much to everybody who sent me birthday messages around my last video. It was a great month in August when I celebrated my 40th. Very busy, lots going on, and as such in September it's been a much more quieter and more relaxed month, deliberately so and unsurprisingly so. There's not quite so much to talk about. This video is going to be nowhere near as long or epic like the last one was. It's going to be a very quick rundown really. I did go out a couple of times for big things. I went to see a musical and I went to an afternoon tea, so I'll tell you a bit about those. And then I also have been watching some bits and pieces on TV as well. Otherwise, I've just been out for some kind of general walks and some health related things as well. Nothing bad, just flu and COVID jabs for mum, and I've had a flu jab as well. Hopefully I'll get a COVID jab at some point. Plus I've had an NHS health check because they offer you a free health check every 5 years once you turn 40. So I thought, well, why not? If it helps to kind of reduce my risks for the future, then that's fine. And everything's good, everything's healthy. My cholesterol's ever so slightly over the healthy limit, so I've just got to bring that down slightly. And I'm a bit overweight, but I knew that anyway. But the advice is just to kind of focus on getting the saturated fats down in the diet. And my mum and I have been kind of working on that. And it's actually quite an eye-opener when you see how much saturated fat there is in things, and also how easy it is to find things that are kind of lighter alternatives that still taste good as well. So yeah, we should be able to kind of figure that out fairly easily, and we've already started working on it. So yeah, no worries there at all. But yeah, otherwise it's just been a nice, as I say, relaxing month. So there's a few bits and pieces to mention, but it will be a much shorter video than the last one was. But yeah, as usual, I hope you enjoy it, and let's crack on with it. So the big thing I went to see this month was Les Miserables, the world's most popular musical, as they market themselves as, and you can't blame them for saying that really, because it is an amazing spectacle. It's a long musical, it's sung all the way through, but it's not an opera, so you can understand what they're singing, and it's a very engaging and interesting story. Moving in parts, but also humorous as well. There's a good mixture of stuff in there. A couple of the songs I already knew, of course, because you can't really avoid them completely, but a lot of the other stuff I didn't, because I hadn't gone in there in advance. You know, I'd read a very brief synopsis of the basics of the story without going into any spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers away here either, but I hadn't watched the film or the concert adaptation that's out there, all that kind of thing. I went in as blankly as I could, just knowing the bare basics that I needed to know. And then we also had a touch tour, because this was an audio described performance. And this wasn't as extensive as some touch tours I've been on, which is a bit of a shame given the scale and extravagance of the show in a way. But nevertheless, even though we didn't get to go on the stage, we did get to see a few of the props and costumes, which gave us a good sense of the style and the period of the show and a few of the characters, things like that. So when we went into the show with the audio description, it helped us to marry everything together. And the lighting in the show is quite atmospheric as well, which means it is actually quite dim sometimes. Very creatively used as well. The lighting is actually a big part of the show. It's used very effectively, but when you're visually impaired, it is quite dim quite a lot of the time. So having the audio description really helped to keep up with what was going on, really. And so the story, very briefly and without any spoilers, is set in 19th century France and is about a French peasant called Jean Valjean, who is granted parole after spending 19 years on a prison ship. He'd originally been imprisoned for just stealing a loaf of bread for his sister's child because they were desperate for the food, but then he tried to escape as well, and that got his sentence extended. So 19 years altogether. But he gets out, and when he does, he ends up breaking his parole to try and find a new life. So there's a police inspector after him as well because he's broken his parole. And on the way, he forms a close bond with a lady called Cosette, who is the face on the poster for the musical, that kind of sketched face you see. And he meets some cruel innkeepers as well, who had some nice humour to the show. They're quite funny. And he becomes involved with a group of young revolutionaries as well. And that is just scratching the surface, really. It's a very kind of busy plot. It's complicated, but not overly complicated. You can still keep track of what's going on. And yeah, it's just an epic show that lasts nearly 3 hours. And it is very engaging. It's very interesting, as I say, very moving in parts as well. So yeah, it is well worth a look. If you've never seen Les Mis, it's one of those things you haven't got around to yet, like I didn't. I'd never meant to leave it this long because I've been wanting to see it for ages. Do go and see it because it is incredible. And then the other main thing I did this month was I went on another press trip with my friend Emily, who I work with as part of a journalism role. So she was offered the chance to write a review for an afternoon tea at the Richmond Hill Hotel. And this was a botanical themed afternoon tea that would normally cost £40 per person or £76 for two. So we obviously got a good deal there. And they're very nice to us. We had a good selection of sandwiches, including salted beef, coronation chicken and salmon varieties. And the salted beef was my favourite out of those. Then we had some lovely plain and raisin scones with jam and cream. And being a former Devonian, I put the cream on first, and then the jam on top because that makes most sense to me. Argue that as you will, but that's the way I like to do things. And then we had some nice patisserie cakes as well, including some chocolate, pistachio, strawberry, raspberry and lemon flavours amongst them. So it was a very nice selection of things and filled us up very nicely. And to drink with it, because I'm not a fan of regular tea or coffee, I went for the golden chamomile herbal tea, which was all right. It's not the sort of thing I'd have at home on a regular basis, but it's nice as something different for an outing like this. And we were also given a complimentary glass of champagne, which was very nice of them, and it was very tasty. And Emily's guide dog Rosie was given some water and treats as well. With Emily's permission, obviously, you must never give a guide dog treats and stuff without the permission of the owner, obviously. So yeah, we had a nice couple of hours there, and Emily's written an article about it in detail, so I'll pop the link to that in the description. You can go and read that. But yeah, apart from the musical and the afternoon tea and the health check I had, all of which there's a bit more detail about in the blog post if you want to go and read about them further, and some general walks I went on, which aren't really worth mentioning because I didn't see anything of interest, and the haircuts we had this past weekend. There's nothing else to mention in terms of going out and about. It's been a nice, relaxing month, as I say. So I'm just going to move straight on to the kind of TV stuff and a bit of radio as well. And I'll start with Good Omens, because the second series of that came out on Amazon Prime recently. And it's been good fun again. It's quite a weird kind of fantasy series created by Neil Gaiman, based on the book that he co-wrote with Terry Pratchett. And it's about an angel called Aziraphale, played by Michael Sheen, and a demon called Crowley, played by David Tennant. And they formed this unlikely friendship, which they established in Series 1. There's actually a lot more detail about it in Series 2, because there are mini flashback episodes embedded within the main episodes about how they kind of met over the years, which are quite fun. But the central story in terms of the modern day that they're telling is that the two of them are surprised by the appearance of the Archangel Gabriel in Aziraphale's bookshop in London, who seems to have like no memory of who he is. But there are clearly people after him, so Aziraphale and Crowley try to kind of hide him, but in doing so, trying to keep him quiet, they actually draw attention to themselves as well. So there's all that kind of thing going on in addition to all the flashback material. So yeah, it's really good fun. I mean, there's great visuals in there because the effects are great, and the music by David Arnold is brilliant as well. I've got the soundtrack album for that. There's also Queen tracks in there as well, and also the track Every Day by Buddy Holly also played a big role in this series as well. And there's some great guest stars in there as well, including Miranda Richardson, Mark Gatiss and Steve Pemberton, and Peter Davison as well, former Doctor Who, like David Tennant is. And so yeah, it's good fun, that series. And Neil Gaiman does have a plot line for a third series, and if that gets the go ahead, they'll do it. It might not be for a few years yet, because obviously everyone's busy, trying to get everyone together is difficult. But if it does go ahead, there won't be a fourth series, because he said there won't be one. But we can hope that there will be a third series, even if it's a few years away. And then another series that I'm delighted has returned in recent months has been Secrets of the London Underground. I've been watching that for the past couple of months or so, because they had 10 episodes, which was very generous of them. And once again, Tim Dunn and Sidney Holloway took us around various disused stations and secret parts of working stations, and showed us some exhibits in the London Transport Museum's depot and stuff like that. And it might sound nerdy, but it's actually very fun and accessible because of the enthusiasm they have and the knowledge they have as well. It's really good. In particular, this series, I enjoyed their explorations of South Kensington Station, because I've used that a lot to see the museums, of course, so it's nice to see areas of that station I didn't know about. And then there's things like British Museum Station that used to exist and is very well hidden, and the fake houses in Leinster Gardens that hide kind of the tracks, which I knew about before, but it was nice to actually see them go and visit them. And the training centre at Ashfield House and the maintenance facilities at Acton Works, all these things behind the scenes that you kind of don't think about and people don't get enough credit for either. And then they also highlighted artistic things like the labyrinth artworks that appear in 270 of the stations, and also the Tube Mapper project, where a guy called Luke does some great photography. I've followed him on social media for quite some time now, but he really does some brilliant photography in different stations and different weather conditions and stuff like that. He's really clever. And yeah, there's all sorts of other stuff in there as well. It's a real kind of nice mixture, that series, with lots of surprising things in there. So I hope there'll be a fourth series. There's certainly more than enough material for them to work with. And then if you want to dig into that stuff even further, they've got Hidden London Hangouts on YouTube. Tim Dunn isn't involved with that, but Sidney Holloway from the London Transport Museum is with a few of our colleagues, and on a regular basis they look at different stations and other aspects of the underground as well. I've watched a few episodes here and there, but I don't watch them all because they're very long and they're very in-depth, a bit too much than I'm kind of really interested in, really, but they are very popular. So I just watch the odd episode here and there that's about kind of stations that I'm really interested in. But yeah, they're very good. They're very enthusiastic and knowledgeable. And they do actually do Hidden London tours in person as well, where you can go and look at disused stations and things like that, which I haven't done yet. I would like to do kind of one or two of those tours one day. I've always always just been a little bit wary of how accessible it would be in terms of going into dark tunnels or areas that are kind of uneven underfoot, that kind of thing. But I may well try and do one of them one day, just see how I get on. But yeah, it's a really good series, and you know, as I say, it's a great museum as well, the London Transport Museum. So yeah, well worth checking out if you've never watched it and you do like the Underground. It's very interesting. And then another show I'm very glad to see back is Taskmaster, of course, which is now up to series 16, unbelievably. And there's nobody on this season who I'm really a huge fan of particularly. It doesn't really matter though, because even if I've never heard of someone or I'm not a particular fan of someone, it's still entertaining to watch them because, you know, everybody has their own unique personalities and different approaches to the tasks and things. There's always a nice mixture of people. It's always fun to watch them either struggling with the tasks or completing them very cleverly, so it never matters if I'm familiar with them or not. Julian Clary and Sue Perkins I am familiar with, of course. You know, I'm not kind of into their shows generally, although they are both good on Just a Minute. Sue is good at hosting it and Julian Clary's been a guest on that show several times, but I've never really watched or listened to any of their other stuff. And then Julian Clary is also appearing in the Palladium pantomime in a few months' time as well, which I'm going to go and see, so he should be good in that. He's been doing that for a few years now. So yeah, those are the two that I know best and who I'm perhaps most focused on. And there's also Lucy Beaumont, who is the wife of comedian John Richardson, who has been on the show himself before, and also Sam Campbell as well. Lucy and Sam I'm not big fans of in terms of the comedy personas they put across. They just come across as a bit dull and irritating sometimes, really, so I don't watch their shows. But again, they're fun on this, and Sam in particular has actually proven to be very clever and creative in his approach to some of the tasks, so I'm kind of liking him at the moment. Lucy struggles with the tasks, but it's amusing when she does. And then the other person then is Susan Wokoma, who I'd never heard of before, and I'm not particularly interested in checking out her other shows from, you know, reading her biography. But yeah, she's fun on this as well. She's good. So yeah, it's looking to be a fun series so far. I've only seen a couple of episodes to date as I film this, but yeah, it's looking to be good as usual. And then alongside that, I'm also watching the New Zealand version of Taskmaster, which Channel 4 have very kindly uploaded to their streaming service. I'd seen the first couple of seasons of that before on YouTube via copyright breaching uploads that people had done, but now it's nice to see it somewhere officially, so I'm watching it again from scratch. Series 1 is okay. There's kind of one contestant in there in particular who's quite irritating, but otherwise it's a good series. But it really kicks into high gear in season 2. That's kind of a very good season, so it'd be great to go through that again. Season 3 is also on Channel 4's website then, and they've just filmed season 4 as well, so hopefully that'll get uploaded soon as well. So yeah, I've not heard of anybody on that show, but again, because of the format, it does not matter because it's still good fun. And they've also got the Swedish version of the show on Channel 4's website as well, but they don't speak in English and I can't read subtitles easily, so I'm not going to bother watching that. And that doesn't bother me. I'm not worried about that. I'm quite happy with the UK and the New Zealand versions. They'll tide me over for a while and they're the best ones out there. And then back here in the UK, I've published a very long and very self-indulgently in-depth review of Doctor Who Series 3 because I'm going through the first few series to the end of David Tennant's era to prepare for the 60th anniversary that's coming up. I'm still successfully avoiding spoilers about that, which is great. I'm trying to keep details about the 60th anniversary episodes to an absolute minimum so I can be as surprised as possible, which is good. But yeah, Series 3 is very good. Martha Jones is a great companion. It's a lot of fun to watch her. It's a shame she only did one series, but given the kind of development route that her story took, it made a lot of sense for her to get out when she did. And she does return anyway. So yeah, it's a very good series, especially the second half when you've got, like, you know, Human Nature and the Family of Blood where the Doctor becomes human. Then you've got Blink, which is a Dr. Light story, but is widely regarded as one of the very best of the entire history of the show. And it is a fantastically written story, that. And then the 3-part finale where the Master returns is suitably epic and a lot of fun. So really enjoyed watching that, and I'm already getting prepared to watch Series 4 during October because I want to try and finish that and David Tennant's specials before the 60th anniversary. It'll be tight, but I should be able to just about fit those in. So I'm looking forward to kind of going through those episodes again as well. And I am also well aware that they're releasing a box set of Series 1 to 4 on the 13th of November, which appropriately for the 60th anniversary contains all 60 episodes from Christopher Eccleston's arrival in 2005 up to the last of David Tennant's specials in 2010, plus all the existing extra features as well. But I'm not sure if I'm going to bother getting it, to be honest. They have said that the episodes have been newly upscaled to HD using the latest technology, but it's not clear if they're going to be much better than the existing Blu-rays, which already look and sound pretty good to me anyway. I know some fans have complained about the slowdown that took place from lowering the frame rate from 25 to 24 frames per second. So all the episodes run about 4% slower than they did before, which I don't notice. A lot of people don't notice because, you know, they still kick along at a good pace and everything. You don't notice anything because they've pitch corrected the audio and stuff like that. So I'm quite happy with the steelbooks that I've got. I think they're lovely. But If it turns out that the picture and sound quality is significantly better on this new set, then maybe I'll make the upgrade. And there is one new extra feature as well, which is a look back through time and space, like a retrospective with David Tennant and Russell T Davies. So again, there's not going to be anything excitingly new there if they're just looking back at the show. So yeah, there's nothing in terms of extras to tempt me. It would really have to be a significant uptick in the picture and sound quality, I think, would tempt me. But I think really the box set is more designed for people who are perhaps relatively new fans to the show who haven't got series 1 to 4. And this is a great way to pick them up at a bargain price. So yeah, I'll see what the reviews are like when it comes out. I'm undecided on it until then. And then finally, I want to mention a radio show as well quickly. I very rarely tune into Desert Island Discs unless there's someone I'm really interested in. So I hear the occasional episode here and there. And this month was a case in point because I listened to the extended edition online of the interview with Adrian Edmondson, who is, of course, the comedy partner of the very still sorely missed Rick Mayall. And it was really interesting to hear Aid talk openly about his life, including his relationship with his parents, his complicated childhood where he had to spend it in different countries and at different schools because of his father's profession, and his comedy influences, and how he met Rick at university and got into alternative comedy and doing stuff like The Young Ones and the comic strip and Bottom. And then he spoke about why he and Rick stopped touring, and then he spoke about Rick's death as well. And it was heartbreaking really to hear him break down in tears as he was talking about that. He clearly still misses him very much, as we all do, so he was kind of very open about that with his emotions and everything. And then he spoke about what he's been doing since then, taking on straight acting roles and changing his philosophy on life and stuff like that. So it was really interesting to hear about that, and he had an interesting variety of musical choices as well. The tracks I knew best were Downtown by Petula Clark, Sugar Sugar by the Archies, and On My Radio by The Selector, all of which are good. There was a nice Mock the Hoople track in there as well called Saturday Gigs. And then the other songs I wasn't so bothered about. There's a couple of comedy songs and a couple of country tracks as well. But yeah, it was really interesting to listen to him. And he did that show, and he's been doing other interviews as well, because he has just released his autobiography called Berserker, which is also available as an audiobook. So I've bought that. I don't know when I'm going to get around to listening to it, but I did want to get it because it's going to be very interesting to listen to, just based on that Desert Island Discs interview and other interviews he's done. So yeah, I will get around to listening to that, along with Richard Osman's new book as well. He's done another instalment of the Thursday Murder Club, of course. So I've bought that too. So I don't listen to books very often. I don't find the time to do that much, but I will get around to both of those. And yeah, that really is it. I'm sorry it's a short video this time, but I hope you enjoyed the bits and pieces I mentioned there, and there is more detail in the blog post as always as well. And there's nothing major in the calendar for October, to be honest, at the time of filming this, but there are always bits and pieces that I want to do and check out, so there will be stuff to mention next month as well. And I hope you're having fun whatever you're getting up to. I hope you've got some nice things planned too. And I hope you stay safe as well with this new COVID variant going around at the moment. I haven't had it yet, and hopefully I won't. Emily's had it, my friend who I work with, and it gave her a bit of a kicking as well, to be fair. So she's slowly recovering, and hopefully she'll get better soon. Best wishes to her for that. And yeah, that's really all I've got to say, really. There's not much else to mention at all, really. It's been a nice, quiet month, as I say. So yeah, I'll leave it there. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment and follow me on social media and my blog and stuff. And yeah, I'll see you for another video very soon. Have fun. Bye for now.